So let's complete the remaining point from the lymphatic organs and tissue. Next organ is the spleen. So spleen, it is the largest lymphatic organ, and it is oval shaped. Okay, so location of it is present in between the stomach and the diaphragm. So superior surface of it is smooth and convex, and the visceral surface of it, that means the surface which is facing inwards of the body, it shows the indentations, that is markings, which are due to the neighboring organs. Okay, so there are three types of indentations. That is, first one is the gastric impression. As per the name suggests, the it is because of the stomach. Okay, then second is renal impression. As per name suggests, it is because of kidney, and that to left kidney. So you should understand the location of the spleen is to the left side of the your abdominal cavity. Okay, and just below to that of the diaphragm. Okay, so third indentation is colic. Okay, so this colic indentation or impression, it is because of the left colic flexure of the large intestine. Okay, so whenever we will study about anatomy and physiology of the gastrointestinal tract, we will study about this small intestine and large intestine. But let me explain what is this flexure. Flexure is the part where the large intestine flexes or turns. Okay, so structurally it is like this. So we have ascending colon. Okay, so if we consider this is the body of a person. Okay, body of a person, and this is the abdominal cavity. Then this is the ascending colon. Okay, now which starts or it which is uh, runs parallel to the right side of your abdominal wall. Then at this juncture near to the diaphragm, it moves to the left. Okay, so this part where it moves or where it flexes, it is called as a right colic flexure. Then it runs as transverse colon. Okay, which is perpendicular to the abdominal wall. Then here, when it reaches to the left side, it moves downwards or it flexes downwards. So this part of the large intestine, it is called as, or it is identified as, left colic flexure. Okay, and at this point, this part of the large intestine makes an impression on the visceral surface of the spleen. So spleen, if you see, it is present somewhere at this particular point. Okay, so stomach will be over here, this will be the diaphragm. Here you will find the left kidney, this is left colic flexure, and this is the stomach. So gastric indentation will be somewhere over here, the colic flexure somewhere over here, and the renal impression will be somewhere over here. Okay, of the spleen. Okay, so let me erase all of this. Okay, so the structure of the spleen, it is very similar to that of the lymphatic node, except it doesn't show presence of the afferent vessels or sinuses. Okay, instead it shows presence of parenchyma, which consists of white pulp and the red pulp. So what is this white pulp and red pulp, that we are going to see in next slide. So white pulp, it is composed of the lymphatic tissue, and it consists mostly of the lymphocytes, that is T and B lymphocytes, and the macrophages arranged around the branches of the splenic artery, which is also called as central artery. Okay, so red pulp, as per the name suggests, it shows presence of blood vessels. Okay, so it consists of the blood filled venous sinuses, and the splenic cords. So these splenic cords, it is also called as, or it is also known as Billroth's cords. So the splenic cords consist of the red blood cells, macrophages, lymphocytes, plasma cells, and granulocytes. Okay, so you know what are the granulocytes: neutrophils, basophils. Okay, so those are what we are talking about, that is granulocytes. So the function played by the spleen, so it is shown in kind of flow chart. So blood enters into the splenic artery or the central artery, and this central artery, as we can see, it is present in the white pulp. So this uh, enter from the blood enters into the central artery of the white pulp. And as we have discussed, or we have just described over here, that central artery, around of which the lymphocytes and macrophages, they are arranged circularly. So immune reactions are carried out by the B cells and T cells and macrophages, which destroy the blood-borne pathogens. So basically, the function of the white pulp is to destroy the pathogens which are there in the blood. Okay, so once the pathogens are destroyed from the blood moves into the red pulp. Okay, and what the function red pulp plays is that it plays three functions. That is, first is worn out or defective blood cells and platelet removed by the macrophages. Okay, so first function is played by the red pulp is that it destroys or it removes the worn out or defective blood cells which are present in the blood, and also the platelets which are present in the blood are removed by the macrophages. Second function it plays is that it stores the platelets. Okay, so it acts as storage unit for the platelets. So this is very important. If spleen, because of inflammation of the spleen, that is splenomegaly, if it is removed from the body, then it affects the clotting and bleeding time of the person. Okay, why? Because the storage main storage unit of the platelets is being removed from the body. So as there is no reservoir for the platelets, it will affect the function played by the platelets. Okay, so the third function played by the red pulp is the production of the red cells during fetal life, and this function is only applicable during the a very early life stage, that is fetal life. Okay, so this is the structure of it. This is the superior end of the spleen, and this is the inferior end. So we are showing the visceral surface of the spleen. Okay, so the superior surface of the spleen, it is very smooth in nature, but on visceral surface we can see various type of impressions. Okay, so this is renal area, this is gastric area. So gastric area means gastric impression can be seen on this gastric area, and on this renal area we can see the left kidney making an impression over here. So this is a splenic artery. Then we have hilus at the point where the splenic artery moves inside the spleen, and splenic vein, it when it carries the blood outside, and splenic artery, it carries blood inside. Okay, and this both splenic vein and the splenic artery are present in the area called as hilus. Okay, so next last point is the lymphatic nodules. So lymphatic nodules are the egg-shaped masses of the lymphatic tissue which are not covered by a capsule. Okay, so this is important. So this is one of the distinguishing feature between the other organs and the tissue. So if we have to define what is a tissue, lymphatic tissue, then the distinguishing feature is that it is not covered by the capsule, unlike that of the lymphatic nodes and the spleen. Okay, so they are scattered throughout the lamina propria. Again, this part we are going to discuss when we will study the gastrointestinal tract anatomy. So lamina propria is the connective tissue portion of the mucous membranes which line the gastrointestinal, urinary and reproductive tracts, and also the respiratory airways, so which are called as the mucosa associated lymphatic nodules or the malt. Okay, so they can be present as a solitary, that means alone. You can find only single lymphatic nodule at certain areas of these organs, or you may find them in the aggregates, like in uh, it, number of lymphatic nodules present at or aggregated in one area. So aggregates of the lymphatic nodules, there are two types over here, that is tonsils, a very common terminology that you must have heard, in the which are present in the pharyngeal region. And second is aggregated lymphatic follicles, that is Peyer's patches in the ileum, which is part of terminal portion of the small intestine. Okay, so tonsils, these are nothing but multiple groups of large lymphatic nodules. So location wise, they are present in the mucous membrane of the oral and pharyngeal cavities. So there are three types of tonsils, that is first one is palatine, second one is pharyngeal, and third one is lingual. So palatine tonsils, they are present posterior lateral walls of the oropharynx. Okay, so this is the location, that is posterior lateral walls of oropharynx. Okay, so pharyngeal portion which is present in the oral cavity, so that's why it is named as oropharynx. The next type of tonsils, that is pharyngeal tonsils, they are present in posterior, that is back wall of the nasopharynx. Okay, so nasal cavity, the pharynx portion which is near to the nasal cavity, that is nasopharynx. And the third type of tonsils, that is lingual tonsils, they are present at the base of the tongue. So you can see from this diagram itself, so these lingual tonsils, they are present in here, this part. Okay, that is base of the tongue. The palatine tonsils, they are present in posterior lateral walls of the oropharynx. As the diagram is not 3D, you cannot see the where exactly present in the these palatine tonsils are present. So lateral walls means the side walls of the oropharynx. So this part of the pharynx is the oropharynx. Okay, and the pharyngeal tonsils, they are present over here. Okay, so which is the posterior wall of the nasopharynx. So you can see this is the nasal portion, so the posterior part of it, at this particular position you will find pharyngeal tonsils. Okay, so with this we have finished the chapter, that is lymphatic system. And next chapter that we are going to start, it is peripheral nervous system. Okay, thank you.